Welcome back to Up Front in our extended interview with Democratic candidate for governor Mary Burke. The state's same-sex marriage ban has been in the news a lot recently with the ruling by a federal judge. Is this an important issue in the campaign in your mind? Will you try to press this issue in the upcoming fall election?
Well, I've been pretty clear about where I stand from the very start, and I do believe that people who love each other, who are committed over the long term, should have the freedom to get married, and I think it's the right way for Wisconsin to be going. And as governor, I want to make sure that I show the type of leadership that does allow a welcoming environment and makes that legal here in Wisconsin.
So if you were governor, you would be saying to the Attorney General, drop this, we don't need to continue pursuing this, even though it is the state constitution right now?
Absolutely. Other governors in other states have done the same thing, including a Republican governor, and there is no need to waste taxpayer dollars on fighting these costly legal battles.
Is it the role of a governor to essentially say, I'd like to see the Constitution rewritten?
Well, I think it's when it's shown in courts not to be upheld and that it is discriminatory and it's not right, then yes, I think you can say that we're not going to uphold that because it has been overruled by a federal judge.
And you've said the governor is waffling on this issue. How so? He has made the argument it's in litigation. I can't change it personally.
Well, I think he was asked what his position was, and he says he doesn't feel that it was important to share that. And so I think a governor should be able to be clear with voters, with the people of Wisconsin, where he stands on the issue.
Let me talk about Act 10 for a moment. That's something the governor says he'd like to see more discussion about Act 10. He's very proud of his signature accomplishment on collective bargaining in this state. In a recent email interview you did with the Wisconsin State Journal, you laid out what you would want to repeal in Act 10 and what you would want to keep. For our statewide audience, walk us through that. What do you want to keep that's currently in Act 10?
Sure. Well, I think it was only fair to ask for contributions to health care and to pension. And that was important. That's what you see mostly in the private sector. And so I think that was only fair. We do have to make sure that our public sector employees are fairly compensated because we do want to make sure that we are able to attract and retain good people in our public sector, including our schools. And I am concerned about the future for that. And just this week I was up talking with someone in Neenah, and he had told me how his daughter was graduating from UW-Eau Claire in education, was going to be a teacher. She had an offer from a school in Minnesota, and she had an offer from a school in Neenah. She decided to go to Minnesota and take that job offer because she didn't see good job prospects and pay for herself here in Wisconsin. So we do have to make sure that we're competitive, but it was only fair to ask for contributions to health care and pension.
So those contributions remain the same, but otherwise you want to see collective bargaining restored for wages, hours, work conditions, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, and that does not stand in the way of having accountable, efficient, and effective government.
Are school districts telling you they would like to see that happen?
Well, I talk to people all around the state, and yes, there are people. In fact, I serve on school board in Madison. We still have a collective bargaining agreement in place, and in fact, just recently we negotiated with the union to extend that. We had changes made that needed to be made to improve student learning, to hire more teachers in areas that we wanted to, and so we were able to work in a collective way to be able to reach the type of agreement that we wanted.
You want to eliminate the ban on automatic dues deductions from paychecks. Is that correct?
Yes, there should be no reason why those dues couldn't come out of paychecks. I think those types of things that Scott Walker did were purely political. There was nothing about balancing the budget. There was nothing about the effectiveness of our organizations that has to do with how the dues are collected.
What do you say to people who say, okay, she does favor the increase in the benefits, but a lot of this other stuff is the stuff that public employee unions have said we absolutely have to have, and that to gain their support, to gain their enthusiasm, you're essentially trying to make a deal and say, look, I'll give you that at least.
No, that's not who I am, Mike, at all. You know, I am glad to have the support of labor, but I am going to work with everyone here in Wisconsin. As governor, I don't care if they're Democrats or independents or Republicans. I want to focus on the issues that matter most here in Wisconsin. I'm going to bring people to the table. It does not have to be this divisiveness that we have seen over the last 3 years, and we're going to set priorities. We're going to put all the options out on the table on how we're going to move the state forward, choose the best ones. I don't care if they're Democratic or Republican ideas. Let's choose the ones that are going to move Wisconsin forward, and then let's bring people together to do that. That's going to be my approach.
In 2012, I sensed that Tom Barrett, near the end of the campaign, that the collective bargaining was not a big issue for him in that race. Is it a big issue for you in this race?
Well, I hear about issues about jobs from people all over the state, and so I have been very clear from the start that I would work to restore collective bargaining, but I'm going to have to do that with the legislature, and that is something that I don't get asked about a lot.
Let me take another break. We'll be back on up front in just a moment. Talk about the enthusiasm factor in this election. But first, here's the WisPolitics week ahead.
The Natural Resources Board meets Wednesday in Milwaukee to set quotas on wolves killed in the next hunting season.